everybody, and welcome to Raising Vibrations with myself, Simon. Today, everyone, I'm just going to be sharing a quick update on the current energy patterns that are on Earth right now, or at least what we're experiencing in the collective field. And I'm just going to be basically offering what I feel is really important to acknowledge during this period of time that we are currently embodying right now, and how to look at this process and move forward through this current energy pattern in a way that gives us the best opportunity to not only benefit from it, of course, but to be able to actually set ourselves up for the next cycle that is going to be taking place from around about August onwards. Okay, so I've called it the transition, and it's been bugging me a little bit over the last 2 weeks, where I've been constantly being badgered with this information, and it's like, get it out, get it out, get it out. But at the same time, I've been really hesitant to kind of just say information without, not having a really concrete message behind it. So I've had to wait a little bit for the story, but I feel like I've got that energy within myself now, and I want to share it with everybody here on this channel. And of course, along with this actual video itself, there will be an article. The articles usually take a little bit of time to add to the video, because I usually do the video before the article actually goes live on Wake Up World and on my site. But it is on my site, simonvorster.com. You can check out that link. It's all in the description below. And the article will be there, because I add some stuff in there as well that might not be necessarily said in this video in that sense. So as I said before, article and video is attached. I feel like I've got this message really, really clear, and I'd like to share it with everybody today. And hopefully we can actually move through this period of time with minimal resistance and maximum potential from the experience. So the transition, okay. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the fact that I feel like since the Uranus-Pluto square that took place for us in March, the final Uranus-Pluto square, the exact one, there has been this huge acceleration in the way that we have been understanding our thought processes, understanding our new directions in which we are seeking to go in. There has been that final liberation, Mercury retrograde, that has been taking place. And, for almost the last two and a half years, that these squares have really been causing many of us a lot of fracturing, a lot of change, a lot of deconditioning, a lot of new direction, etc. And with that final square that took place, it really kind of set in motion the tone for the rest of your life, in my opinion, and the rest of the collective's life, because of that universal shift. Now, simultaneously as that happened, we also had this kind of lunar and solar eclipse switch, this change in season. And we actually had the solar eclipse manifest itself at 29 degrees Pisces. And that was huge, to be honest, because not only was it the final degree of the final sign, it also implied that there was this kind of awakening in this full apocalypse, where the veils between, the essential information of the non-physical world and the physical world were thin. And we all are, in some way, shape, or form, getting this very deep and strong sense of understanding that we are more than just, of course, the physical body, and that there is more to the story in this life that we are experiencing. And it can almost feel very Neptunian in that way, of course. It can almost feel as if there's this sense of what is going on, and of being overwhelmed quite a lot, okay? And that obviously would have manifested through that solar eclipse that took place at 29 degrees of Pisces. So all of that energy has manifested itself, and Mars and Venus also moved through. This is now, of course, in March, April, moved through Pisces, and there was an incredible hype and sense of like excitement and the sense of inspiration, and there was this new direction and everybody was feeling it. And then all of a sudden it started to shift a little bit, where gradually Mars and Venus started to move through Aries and then moved through Taurus. And as they moved through those archetypes, there was this incredible, in my opinion, this incredible shift in gears, where we stopped going from this very sort of higher dimensional galactic sense of awareness into this very I'm in my body kind of experience. And there was this gradual sort of like slowing down of this Piscean energy of imagination and inspiration and natural connection to source, and going into this kind of slower process of integrating and assimilating a lot of the Pisces energy that manifested. This whole sort of huge ball of energy that just appeared, and we experienced it, and now we're trying to assimilate this stuff into our physical bodies. We're trying to actually take all of that information and kind of bring it into the physical. And the way that I saw this process from a metaphorical perspective was this opportunity where we're kind of surfing and we're riding the crest of the wave, and we kind of hit the barrel. And as we go through the barrel, we experience the God consciousness, right? This Neptune feeling of interconnectedness, and everything's just unbelievably, surreal. And then the wave hits and it sort of like peters out into the beach. And it's now where that transition turned, where we experienced and assimilated all of that amazingness, and we're like, oh my God, let's do it again. But whenever you do that, naturally, there's that process of having to go back into the ocean to connect to the wave that's about to go over. And as we kind of take on that new direction of swimming back into the ocean to catch that wave again, of course there's going to be this push and pull tidal wave experience where we're going to experience some resistance, and it's paddling out there and it's running back into the ocean. And of course, once you've hit the beach, as it were, going back into the ocean does mean that you have to hit resistance again, where you're going against that kind of ocean wave. So to me, the way I felt about it was that there was this shift where we were going from this awakened state of consciousness into this sense of like going back into the ocean to re-experience this. And it slowed stuff down completely, which is kind of ironic because it hasn't really slowed down. It's just that the process of being more in the body while still experiencing these energies moving at such a fast rate has led us to have everything just manifest at the same time. It's like your awareness is so big, and yet the daily sort of routines and such of your existence and the way that you've been operating, we've been operating, almost feels like we don't have enough time to be able to take all of this awareness and integrate it. And this need to slow down has needed to come through, which makes complete sense because, on the 8th of April, Jupiter goes direct and it starts trining Uranus, so you've got both of these signs, completing their kind of cycles of intensification and reflection and slowing down. And now they're amplifying stuff, so Uranus is amplifying Jupiter's expansion and need to explore and individuate oneself. And we kind of go through this process of this really random this random sense of energy patterns where there's so much going on in terms of this new direction, and yet there's this resistance that's kind of hitting it together, you know what I mean? And you want to move forward at a fast rate, but it's like the more you try to move forward, the more you feel like you've got lead weights on you, and it's like, why can't it manifest quick enough? It'd be interesting to hear if everybody's experiencing this simultaneously. I've spoken to many souls, and that's where they are. But I'd like to hear if there are, of course, many of you out there that are experiencing the same thing. So we have this kind of transition period, and it becomes more and more intense, where Jupiter's trining Uranus, and there's this fracturing and this breaking free and this needing to assimilate and quantify and really get things and ideas going at a fast rate, and it's so big, expansive perspectives. But then Saturn turns retrograde. So he's gone into Sagittarius, and he's kind of like bringing up for us all of our sort of ecological disasters, and where we're treating nature in a way that is not, of course, in alignment within ourselves, and we and nature are interconnected. So whatever it is that is outside in the world is a reflection of what we have done as man. So we're getting a little bit of that information come through to us, and Saturn works like that. Saturn, from the point of view of using astrology's definitions, if I had to take away astrology's definitions, in terms of just saying what Saturn is, but what Saturn symbolizes as an archetype within my understanding of, or at least using evolutionary astrology, is that it's gravity, okay, and it's motion, and it's the most densest aspect, which is why your Saturn return can be something that can be incredibly painful for many souls, because their life is going at such a fast pace, and then all of a sudden Saturn comes around and says, okay buddy, let's kind of chill out here for a little bit and reflect. And everybody's going, yeah, but I've got all these things, and Saturn's going like, yeah, no, not so much. So as it moves into Sagittarius, it's of course asking for this need to focus on these belief structures and philosophies, and where we are divided and so on and so forth. But it goes retrograde. And he starts pulling all of this consciousness back into the Scorpio lessons over the last 2 years. And I know that many of you will agree with me that Saturn's transit through Scorpio was not fun. It brought us incredible empowerment. We literally became aware of all of the underhanded nonsense that has been manifesting itself on Earth, through the shadow government, and all, within our own personal selves. We had to confront an incredible amount of our own shadow karma, and let go of those unconscious emotional attachments, which unfortunately have led to relationships ending, situations where your home is gone, you feel completely lost, all of that type of stuff. The story of the last 2.5 years. Anyway, so Saturn sort of like chimes a little bit and goes retrograde. And where we are right now is really kind of fascinating, because Pluto has also gone retrograde, and Pluto's at 15 degrees Capricorn. So I've got all the facts out there. Pluto's at 15 degrees Capricorn. He's retrograde now. Saturn is at retrograde motion, and he's moving back into Scorpio. Jupiter's trining Uranus in this sense. But not to forget that Saturn is also, in a square to Neptune, which is in Pisces. And for any of you that are listening to a lot of the work that I do, a big part of what I'm going to be sharing going forward, and what I have been sharing just recently, has got a lot to do with the false light, the information or disinformation, or the illusions of separateness, etc., false saviors on their way, and all that type of stuff. This is this Neptune story. It's like, we don't really know what to believe. Anything could be real, anything could be not real, So anyway, Neptune's that story. That's what I pull it from. So Saturn's squaring Neptune at this stage, right? So that's another thing. Neptune squares Saturn, and of course that's where, from a holistic perspective, the lesson here is to actually integrate one's spiritual path, i.e. lifestyle, new beginnings, etc., into the physical. And that's what you're re-embodying, basically. And also learning how to connect to our intuition in a way that allows us to be able to naturally be guided by our higher selves, versus using the mental processes to kind of allow us to navigate us through this construct. So to not complicate stuff too much, and I hope I'm not losing anybody in this experience, but you've got the Saturn square Neptune, and of course Saturn retrograding, Pluto retrograding, and then of course Jupiter trining Uranus, okay? And again, Uranus is square Pluto. So all of this stuff here, this is the big stuff, okay? This is all that outer stuff that's happening. And then what you have as well, just to kind of amplify Pluto's story here, is that Pluto itself is at 15 degrees Capricorn, which is a big deal, because Pluto at 15 degrees Capricorn is reflecting to us on its most deepest level a process of literally a transition, okay? we are essentially transitioning through or from one state of definition of reality, one state of how we perceive ourselves, one state of how we have constructed this reality, how we have defined us as a collective race and how we have defined ourselves individually. We have let go of that process. We've gone through all of that nonsense of clearing and things destroying itself and crumbling, etc., etc. And this Pluto has reached this 15-degree mark where this archetype of halfway, the sense of destruction and ending has made itself really, really apparent. And now, as Saturn's moving retrograde, he's kind of like talking to Pluto a little bit, and he's saying, we've done a lot of this work over the last 2.5 years, particularly letting go of and clearing and the Uranus-Pluto squares, but we haven't actually solidified it. We haven't actually cemented it. We have not actually mastered that period of time. So where we are right now is this beautiful conflict where the Uranus-Jupiter stuff is going, oh my God, we are ready for this new things. I've got all these things in place. I'm rebranding myself. There's this new direction manifesting for us, and I just want to go, 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 go. Let's just fire off in different directions. And Saturn and Pluto are playing this little joke where they're turning around and going, not yet. Even though I've been consistently telling you, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. So everybody experienced January, right? January, February, March was already sort of accelerated time. There was this sense of, oh my God, things are about to change. And, we're feeling this new stuff, and this wave is forming, and then it crashes into the ocean, and we experience this beautiful Pisces completion, between April and March and April. But now Saturn and Pluto are retrograde, and it's going, come on, we've got to go back again. We've got to go back to the last 2.5 years. And essentially, what is manifesting itself here is that all of these timelines, all of these layers of non-authenticity, all these layers of essential misalignment and non-unity and dualism and sense of separateness and everything that is non-balanced within your existence is now coming into play. And you're going, all of these lessons, integrate them into one. So we are at literally the final exam. We're at the final test. We're writing the last SATs, and there's no teacher in sight. There is no helpers in sight. There is just your own intuition and what you remembered from that journey and what you gained from that journey. And the more that you can embody the need right now to allow yourself to reshape, rechange, cut out, clip off, master, solidify what you have done over the last 2,000 years, the more you're going to be able to access the quantum shift that will be taking place for us from September onwards, or should I say from August, September onwards, that's when the real stuff begins. That's when we really start getting on board with this process. And, it's not to say that we're not doing it right now, because of course it doesn't mean, okay, let's just wait for that period of time and then all of a sudden, It's not about that. It's about recognizing that life itself is organically growing, right? If you watch nature and you watch how it grows, there is a process, and it's a step-by-step process, Virgo. And we are in that kind of step-by-step process of flowering into something and birthing into something, but you need to allow that to mature. And that maturity process right now is the transition, where we are moving from something that was of the past into something that is new, and it's kind of this no man's land. So Mercury's retrograde at this stage, everything's through Gemini, and Saturn's retrograde as well, and there's this big emphasis and need to really get your shit sorted out, to really get your stuff into gear, to fix all of the things, the loose ends that hasn't been done yet. So for me, I can share with you my own personal story. I'll be moving into a new home that's in July, and a lot of obviously the transition from my old home to the new home requires me to do all the sort of Saturn work and, get the telephone company to do this and move there and shift that and clear out here and do this, etc., etc. And one of those processes is that it's like I'm transitioning from one place to another. And many of you probably are even having that process happen for you, where you're clearing out stuff and you're letting things be lighter, but you're also unconsciously, or should I say, trying to be consciously, shaping your next reality, shaping your stuff. Because as soon as Saturn goes direct in August, in that sense, he's going to not be going into Scorpio for another 29 years. So you're done with that lesson. You're done with that archetype. You're done with those stories. So this is a process of just letting go of those processes, or should I say fixing it up, and then putting everything into place so that when Saturn moves into Sagittarius, you don't have to be dealing with Saturn and Scorpio stuff, right? Because your awareness is not going to be there. The center of gravity is going to be on the Saturn and Sagittarius story. So this is a really important time, even though it feels like nothing's really happening, or you're mentally scattered, or there's just billions of things going on at this stage. Really allow yourself to be grounded, allow yourself to be slow down, and prioritize what it is that you need to be cutting out of your life and integrating more of yourself into it, so that when Saturn goes direct, Jupiter moves into Virgo and new cycles begin, and Pluto goes direct, you're finally done with that stuff. And you're moving into this new direction, and you're not taking stuff with you. You've let go and you're going in a new direction, and that's when I feel like everything is going to start to become really, really cool for us in that way, where we allow that process to manifest, especially inwardly, of course, because a lot of the stuff is the inward journey. We're trying to reconstruct ourselves from the inside, so that when we are living embodiments of those actions that are manifesting from inward, that's when this change is going to happen in the world. When we start collectively changing from within to move the direction of consciousness in a way that is organic, that is creating natural ways of living in that sense. And there will be that process. So yeah. Okay, before I go ahead and just end this video, everyone, I do want to say to you that I'm just going to quickly go through the generations, because a big part of my own work is, of course, seeing all the generations going through their natural transits. So I'll start with the Pluto and Leos. This is everybody born from 1945, if I'm not mistaken, to 1957. You have got Jupiter transiting your Sun at this point in time. Pardon me, not your Sun, your Plutos. So there's this huge soul awareness that is taking place for everybody right now, which is a fantastic experience, to be honest. So Pluto conjunct your Sun, Pluto conjunct Jupiter is expanding your soul awareness. And of course, this is great for everyone there. Pluto in Virgo generation is between 1957 and 1972. Anyone born between that period of time. This is big. In fact, the Pluto-Uranus transit is really for you in that sense. A lot of you are getting into a new direction within your life. You're starting to take hold of this next phase of your life, and there's a lot more freedom. So I urge you to take as much listen to your intuition, listen to your sense of instincts that are manifesting for you right now, and take action. This is a big deal. Take action in your life. Start making the necessary changes that leads you in a new path. There's a big new direction happening for you here, and you've got to act from your impulses, okay, to allow this new shift to take place for you, and that's a big deal. The Pluto in Libra generation, this is everybody from 1973 to 1984 January. The North Node has been moving over your Plutos during this period of time, and of course every single one of you have been turning around going, okay, I know there's something new happening for me, I don't know what it is quite yet, and really it's just been about a new soul direction that's taking place. And this is really important for everybody. Just start following, start integrating into your life more harmony, more balance in that sense, trying to create a lifestyle that is necessary for you, that's supporting your new ways of being, your new value systems, etc. Okay. The Pluto in Scorpio generation, let's have a look. Pluto, firstly, Saturn has been moving over your Pluto, of course, and that's a big deal. So your Saturn conjunct Pluto is making a new life choice that is completely and utterly one that's cutting away any old ties. So there's this new direction that's emerging for you right now, and that's big. You've literally had to cut away a lot of stuff that's not karmically necessary for you anymore. And you're starting a new direction, which is great. And then, of course, Pluto is moving over your Neptune and your Uranus conjunction in Capricorn. And this is a big deal, to be honest. In that sense, there's a lot of spiritual transformation where you're trying to find your originality and individuality into the world. But there's the sense of like being stuck, that you are not really sort of, in a sense, able to find your passions in a world that has not been created for you yet. So be patient. My best suggestion to you is to try and absorb as much of the spiritual teaching as possible. Try to get yourself as many skills as possible at this stage, so that when you do get to later parts of your life, and the Pluto and Libras and the Pluto and Virgos have done their work, you will have a platform to actually start manifesting yourself on. So you're a little bit ahead of your time at this stage, okay? Awesome. Fantastic, everyone. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it brought you some awareness. Please make sure that you are, assimilating the stuff, being soft on yourself at this stage, giving yourself a lot of centering in that sense, and just allow yourself to transition through this period of time by not spacing out and doing random stuff. Like, really focus on trying to get stuff done during this period of time that allows you to be really clean, so that when August, September comes along, you can just catapult into the new direction without bringing in anything from the past. Okay? Fantastic. Right, a couple of announcements. I just want to let you know that anybody that's interested in learning astrology, I've got a beginner's class that is beginning in 2 weeks' time. So please come over to my website, simonvorster.com, and write to me and say to me that you want to be a part of this process. This is an awesome learning opportunity to study astrology. And from the students that I've had so far, everybody has really been able to take this to the next level. And so I highly recommend joining this process. It's $315 for the entire course. This gives you the opportunity to learn all of the astrology archetypes, as well as understand the South Nodes and North Nodes and Pluto, so that you can be able to understand karmic stories in a birth chart and read your own, of course, which is a great idea. You can also pay on a weekly basis as well, everyone. And this is all done through the internet, through a program called Zoom. And there's a whole group experience. So it's a big deal, to be honest, if you really are seriously wanting to learn astrology. This is my sole service to you, okay? You can also come over to my site and check out all of the services that I do have in terms of astrology readings. Connect with me, share with me your story. Let me know what you're going through at this stage, and kind of like, have a reading in that sense. It's not based on just astrology reading. It can be just a discussion you want to have about things, etc. That would be great. So there's various options there as well, relationships, etc., etc. Okay. Other than that, everyone, again, thank you so much. Please like this video and hit the subscribe button. If you're not a subscriber, pass it on to your friends. Share it as much as you can. That is the next sort of alignment in this process of our awakening and to change the world is sharing in that sense. So get that out there, okay? Fantastic. Have a wonderful evening, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.